Hello and welcome to EV Motoring. I'm Joe, and it's time to take this 2027 Chevrolet Bolt LT EV on a range test. Just beginning the range test now. I reset the trip gauge, have the car charged to 100%. This is the 2027 Chevrolet Bolt LT. So it has a 65 kilowatt hour iron phosphate battery. Iron phosphate means it's recommended to charge to 100%. It's a much more durable battery. The reason you want to charge it to 100% is the pack voltage varies so little. If you try to charge it to 80% all the time, it can get a little confused. Getting it to 100% helps the car be sure how much percentage it actually has. I think this is the first time this car's probably ever been charged to 100% because it only has 60 miles on it. Temperature right now is 30 degrees. Should drop a couple more. Usually these range tests, we've been lucky to get a little bit colder weather, but this is the end of the winter, so I think this is likely the coldest weather we have left. Set the climate control to 72 degrees with the heated seat on low. Car defaulted to middle, but I lowered it to low. That's what I've done in every range test before, so we want to keep things consistent. This is the 17-inch wheel on the Bolt. I think the RS might actually also get a 17-inch wheel. Not 100% sure on that. I'll put the tire size down below because I'm sure that I'll mess that up. We do a 75 mile per hour range test. A lot of other outlets out there do 70 miles per hour. Here in the Midwest, especially if you're road tripping, trying to go out to Colorado or things like that, speed limit frequently is 75. Even when you get out to like Utah, then it's 80. We want to be able to best show how far this car can actually go on a normal road trip, since most of our driving is above 70 miles per hour when we can. Of course, if you need a little bit more range, you would just slow down a little bit if you realized you're going to get close to an uncomfortable amount of percentage of arrival. The big upgrades for this Bolt, as I mentioned, the 65 kilowatt hour iron phosphate battery, as well as the Tesla connector, the NACS connector. That allows this car to be supercharged and up to 150 kilowatts, which is pretty much 3 times as fast as the old Bolt. I set the cruise at 75 and I try to stay out of the way of other trucks. We don't want to gain from the drafting or anything. Wind conditions are very nice today. That's also why I'm pushing this range test through right now, because we have a 6 mile per hour wind from the north. So through the magic of editing, I'll drop in the route plan that we do. So you'll see on the way out there, we'll have a very slight headwind, and on the way back, it'll be a very slight tailwind. Basically, I'll drive until about 50%, turn around, and come home. So this is a base LT. It just has one option. It's the comfort package, which gives us heated seats and a leather-wrapped heated steering wheel. It's actually basically the same. It's the same package that we had on our Equinox LT. Living up here in Chicagoland, the heated seat's definitely worth it for that price. And actually, from an efficiency perspective, having this heated seat on low does help provide more heat than if we are just running the air. Where I suspect this car will do well, it's not as cold as it's been for other range tests, but also it's just a small place to keep warm. There's no rear air vents. All the air is just coming out right here to keep it at 72. So it should be able to do a good job of that. Best part of this price package is this brings the car in under $30,000. And Chevy's usually the king of incentives, so you likely can get it for even cheaper than that. I'll do rolling clips every 10% to show you where we're at from a battery perspective. And then every 25% we'll check in and do a quick checkup on how it's looking, how far it's basically projecting at that point. The car projected 262 miles when we left home, since that is the EPA rated range. The old Bolts used to have like kind of a guessometer that would show the range of the range, for lack of a better word. Unfortunately, I've not found a way in this Bolt to get like that traditional guessometer. I thought that was always a great feature because it basically showed if you drove aggressively, here's the range you should get. And if you took it easy, here's the range you'll get. So I used to like being able to see that range of the range. We're merging on the highway now, getting up to speed, and we'll see you at 75%. just ticked down to 75%. Roads are still pretty clear, which has been great. I was worried about catching some traffic. It's just about 6:30 in the morning. So far, we've gone just over 42 miles. The math is kind of mathing for us to be at around 160 miles so far, averaging 2.4 miles per kilowatt hour. We have this energy screen in the middle, which shows that 6% of our energy has gone to climate control. So far, that's a little bit worse than I would have expected, especially since it's 29 degrees. It's not as cold as we've done some of our range tests where, I just would have expected a little more range. Maybe that'll change as when we turn around and start coming home. Since I mentioned we do have that little 6 mile per hour headwind, that could be a difference maker. One thing I forgot to mention earlier, the benefit of that LFP battery, I mentioned charging to 100%. So looking at it from that perspective, you're leaving home with 262 miles of rated range every day. When you have an Equinox or another EV, a lot of the EVs that use more of the traditional chemistry, those cars always recommend to charge to 80 or sometimes 90%. So you're actually leaving, like with an Equinox, 310 miles of rated range, 319 miles of rated range. When you're charging to 80%, you're actually only around 260 miles. So this has that same daily range because you wouldn't want to charge that car to 100% on a daily basis. On a road trip, yeah, that car you can charge it up and get that little extra range on your first leg of the trip, and then I guess technically to start your day, you'd get a little bit extra. But on your charging, you're getting the same charging speed. So this iron phosphate battery really is nice for daily use. Speaking of daily range, that's why I preconditioned the battery, because if I was at a hotel or starting a road trip, I would have preconditioned the battery in that case as well. So I can't think of a time that you would be at 100% and not plugged in, right? So if you're plugged in and at 100%, you would be preconditioning the battery. Also consistent with the other range tests that we've done. We're getting close to Rockford, Illinois, so a little bit of traffic is picking up, but still we're moving pretty clear and avoiding getting stuck behind anyone. So we'll check back in at 50% when we turn around. Just exiting now to whip back around at 52%. Threw in my home address to try to make it back home. It says I should arrive with 6%. We have bailout options in case conditions kind of don't go our way, but we should be okay. Easily one of the quickest and easiest turnaround ramps I've ever done. It was just off and on. So at 50%, we've gone 83 miles, which means efficiency's held pretty consistent. Because when we got to even our first 10%, I was kind of estimating about 160 miles, and that's still holding true here. Doubling 83 would be 166 miles. So I feel comfortable about being able to make it home with about 5%. Typically, with a lot of Chevy EVs, you do not want to run them to total zero like you can run a Tesla. So you kind of want to try to gauge it that you'd like to arrive at your destination with at least 5%, 5 to 10% is best, especially in cold weather. Because they start to restrict power when it's very cold and when the state of charge gets really low. The power reduction can be so much that it becomes difficult to maintain highway speeds or especially to make passes on the highway. Comparing to that, the road noise in here, there's a little bit of a drone, which I think is from the tires. Wind noise isn't bad. Really, this should be compared to the Nissan Leaf or even the Volvo EX30, which is going away right now. At least the last news is it's going away, and that's kind of more of a luxury, a little bit upscale. Equinox really is a more well-rounded car in every way. To get the Bolt to this price point, every little corner had to be cut. So you expect a little bit more road noise in here. It's certainly not bad though. The Equinox is very quiet, and this is certainly not bad. I'd say not far off of our Tesla. Our Tesla's not exactly the quietest vehicle on the highway anyway. Certainly could be here for a while. The seat's a little stiff. would like a more comfortable seat if I was going to be here for an extended road trip. It's sound is good, climate control is doing a great job, and it's not a bad place to be. So I'll check back in at 25%. At the point of the drive where we're getting close enough back to home that cars are whipping past me while I'm maintaining 75. That's just the way people drive around here. But at least the roads are still relatively open and clear. Just ticking down to 25%. GPS estimates that I should get home with, it says 8% now. So that tailwind certainly has helped get us a couple extra percent, because at one point it was down to 5%. Normally, I would do more loops on the highway if I was going to get home with like 10 or 12%, but I'm comfortable getting home with 8%, especially because this trip gauge has been so consistent at basically estimating that we'll have between 160 to 165 miles of range of like the total for the whole drive. The guessometer now says we have 52 miles left. We know that's all fake news. We've gone just over 130 miles. We've got our average up to 2.5 miles per kilowatt hour. It was at 2.4 for most of the drive. I'll convert it down to watt hours per mile down below for those of you that use a Tesla. We have a Tesla too, so I try to put both. It'd be nice if all of these things could just be unified, like the NACS connector. How do we talk about efficiency, miles per kilowatt hour or watt hours per mile, all those sort of things. It shows here that energy usage, we've used 4% of our battery, 4% of the usage so far, which is 2 kilowatt hours, has been used for heating the cabin. The rest has been used to keep us at 75. Temperature still at 30 degrees. It was 28 degrees in Wisconsin, but I'll check back in when we get to around 10%. So very crazy thing just happened. At 7%, I'm getting all these warnings popping up at me, going into full turtle mode, and I'm trying to limp off the highway right now. I'll try to record some of these as I safely can. It kind of came out of nowhere. This is what I was talking about, is I went from having 20 miles of range to now basically saying I have nothing, and the car is giving me all these warnings like this. So thankfully, I am 1 mile from the Tesla supercharger, which I am navigating to right now. Literally out of nowhere, I saw the percentages seem to be kind of dropping a little bit fast. And I mean, it suddenly just went from 7% to 5%. It seems like it just dropped that in a matter of 2 miles. And again, the range said from having 20 miles of range to having, being low. So I went ahead and turned off air. I'm just going to try to limp to the Tesla supercharger, which is 2.8 miles away, thankfully on city streets. And so now you get a firsthand experience on why I say with these Chevys, you don't want to go below 5%. We want to get to all of our charging locations between 5 and 10%. I mean, I was incredibly lucky that I was close to this Tesla supercharger. And I'm hopeful that the car will let me limp there, because this was so weird. I actually haven't experienced this with any of the cars that have range tests. Like, I've experienced them getting to a low battery and then reducing power. But this was like a very aggressive drop off from having what it told me was 20 miles of range and decent power to really shutting down aggressively. So really, I'm able to pretty much wrap up this video now. I'll show when I plug into the Tesla supercharger, I have to activate the charge from my Tesla app. I'll let it know what post I'm at. There is not plug-in charge at the time of filming this, with the Chevrolet Bolt, but that's coming soon. So that's really going to be great when you can roll up to a charger and just plug it in, walk away just like you do with a Tesla. I'm at 155 miles of traveled range on this trip. However, the last 2 to 3 miles have really been not maintaining 75 when the car really started kind of throwing all these warnings at me. I really went highway speed for about 152 miles, really 150 because I had 2 miles to start the video. But either way, I'd say it's fair to say between 150 and 155 miles of range at 28 to 30 degrees is what you can expect with the 2027 Chevrolet Bolt. Is that good? I think that's a little less than I would have liked to seen. It is cold out and it's really hard to say. It is a small battery, so when it is spending energy to heat the cabin, it is going to be less range. So either way, let's go plug in and wrap up. I'm very happy to see this feature that Chevy has implemented where we have the charging rate, and there's 2 numbers here. Basically, the car is asking for 111 kilowatts and the charger is delivering 105. This allows us, when we get to chargers, say the car is asking for 111 and we're only getting 30, we know it's something charger related, and it makes sense to move to maybe the charger next to it or try to find a charger down the road if possible, because it might be a charger related issue that'll cause it to charge slow. Either way, glad to have made it here and seeing charge rip up. I'll do another range test and a full charging related video as well to try to grasp how road tripping this vehicle will be. Certainly gave me a lot more anxiety than I was expecting here on a Monday morning, restricting my power that poorly. But either way, as I mentioned, about 150 to 155 miles of range is what you can expect in cold weather. Not very cold weather, but still below 30 degrees here. Here with the 2027 Chevrolet Bolt LT EV. So that's a wrap on this 2027 Chevrolet Bolt EV LT range test here in cold weather. Between 28 to 30 degrees is what we ended up on the day. Just over 150 miles before the car really started getting scary on us. So we always want to try to arrive with around 10% on road trips with this car, since at 5% it really started freaking out. Let me know, do you think 150 miles of essentially daily range, considering you can charge this car to 100% regularly, is acceptable? Or would you want to have seen a lot more? We'll be sure to test this also in warm weather. And let us know down in the comments if you consider a Bolt or if you would consider an Equinox or a Leaf or something else. And always take care until next time.